Hi, and welcome to this video lesson titled 6 Facebook Marketing Strategies. I'm Alice Roach, and I'm a Senior Research Associate in the Division of Applied Social Sciences at the University of Missouri. This video lesson is part of a project titled Marketing Opportunities for Missouri's Niche Meat and Poultry Processors. The project received funding from the Missouri Agricultural and Small Business Development Authority, and using that funding, the team at the University of Missouri has developed information and resources that Missouri meat businesses can use to enhance their marketing efforts. This video is a follow-up to a previous presentation about Facebook marketing basics. And in this video, our goal is to share with you a series of research-based best practices that you can use to improve your Facebook marketing. So this presentation has 6 different research-based best practices to share. The first of those is to make your content mobile friendly. And mobile friendly content is particularly important today because so many Facebook users are accessing the Facebook platform via their mobile devices. You can see on the screen that these are data suggesting the percentage of all Facebook users that are accessing the platform on different technologies. And these are data that were extrapolated from some data that Facebook has reported. So you can see that nearly all of Facebook's users are accessing the platform at some point on a mobile device, and more than 2/3 of them are exclusively accessing the platform on mobile. As a result, you really want to make sure that your content is mobile friendly, so it's delivering on the type of experience that these users expect from Facebook content on mobile. And there are a few different strategies that you can follow to ensure that your content is mobile friendly. And the first of those is to keep your posts short. So when we as online readers access content, whether it's on a social platform or on a website or elsewhere, we tend to like to read shorter content and content that's easier for us to scan. So when we run across a large block of text, it's kind of our instinct to perceive that large block of text as an impediment. We want to sort of go around it rather than actually read it. And so you want to make your post short or otherwise easy to scan so users can find the information that they want to know and that they want to find. The challenge, however, is whenever you're writing these posts is to convey all the key messages that you want to share. So that is a bit of a challenge, but by keeping your posts short, you are making that content easier to consume from the reader's perspective. If you do have a need to share a lot of text in one post, I'd urge you to not include that text formatted as one big block, but rather break it up into shorter paragraphs or chunks. Those shorter paragraphs or chunks will help to facilitate scanning, which will help users find the information that they want to find so they can use it to make decisions or so forth. In order for you to develop mobile-friendly content, you'll also want to check that your images fit well on mobile devices. And Facebook does provide a nice option for you to preview your posts before they go online. In the publishing tools on Facebook, you can see both a desktop preview and a mobile preview. So you'll want to check those previews to make sure that the images that you choose scale well on the platform. The second research-based best practice that I want to share is consider adding video to your content plan. Today, about 1 in 10 posts on Facebook have a video component, and when you include video, you tend to have better engagement on those posts. The data that you see on the screen reports average engagement rates for various types of posts on Facebook. So these were data presented by Localwise in 2020. According to these data, for all posts that were included in the research, about a 4% engagement rate was average. Engagements can include liking, commenting, sharing, and so forth. Any type of interaction between a piece of content and the user. You can see here that image posts and link posts performed at about the average level. If you look at status posts, these are posts without any sort of a visual element. They're exclusively text. They had poorer engagement compared with the average for all posts, but video posts tend to perform better. So they had about a 6% average engagement rate. If you do have an interest in adding more video content into your content plan, there are a few tips to make your video more effective. The first of which is to really focus on the visual. So about 8 out of 10 users say that when they watch a Facebook video, they don't actually listen to the audio. So you really need to make your visual component compelling in order to keep them invested in the video so they continue to watch it. You'll also want to take into account how you can still share your key messages in a way that users will pick up on those messages that you're wanting to share. If you do have some sort of an audio component, a narration, for example, in your video, it's important to upload captions. So if users do not enable the sound for a video that they're watching, they can at least read the captions. Captions are also important for accessibility purposes, so your content is accessible to those who have hearing impairments. Another tip when you're developing video is that engagement tends to be better for posts, or rather for videos that are recorded in a vertical format. So you can see here, this is some data from Buffer, and that the videos that are in a vertical format tend to have better engagement, likely because they tend to take up more of the screen on a mobile device. So you can see that the red box here on the screen is outlining what a vertical video looks like, and the screen on the right is showing what a square video looks like. So by that vertical video taking up more real estate on a mobile device's screen, it's probably providing a better experience for the user. Going live is another option. So Facebook Live's been available for quite some time, and we tend to see better interaction with a video if it's in a live format versus in a pre-recorded format that's then uploaded to the platform. The third research-based best practice that I wanted to share is look for ways to sell direct. So the data you see on the screen were sourced from eMarketer in 2020. And what this is presenting is the share of US adults who said that they've purchased via a social platform in the past year. So a majority of US adults have not yet made purchases, or at least not in the past year, on social platforms. But I think this is an area that could have some opportunity in the future, particularly because we're still experiencing the coronavirus pandemic, and the American population may be looking for new ways to make purchases, and social may be one area where they consider making those purchases. Of the platforms available for buying products direct, Facebook tends to be most popular. So that's something to keep in mind. It's been more popular than Instagram and Pinterest and some of the other social channels. In terms of how you can begin to sell direct online, or at least begin to facilitate connections that can lead to sales, Facebook Marketplace is certainly one option to consider. So at least a third of US Facebook users are saying that they're transacting on every month on Marketplace. So this is a pretty large segment of the Facebook user base. From a brand's perspective, you can post listings for free, and then also recognize that you do have some paid support options available to you. If you're a retailer or an e-commerce company, though, you must work with a partner, and those partners can charge fees. If you're interested in knowing more about that, you can refer to the source links at the bottom of the screen. Facebook offers are another way to sort of facilitate sales online. You can offer these offers to be discounts or a free product that you get as sort of an add-on when you make another purchase. And you can also choose whether you want these offers to be valid only on online purchases, or whether users can bring in the offer and use them in an in-person transaction too. Anyone who saves an offer will receive a reminder. So those reminders can help to bring your product and the offer back to that sort of top mind awareness, which that could have a benefit for your business. You can also post offers for free, but also paid options are available and will help you to reach specific audience segments. The next research-based best practice is consider stories as a type of content to share. So stories refer to sort of compilations of photos, videos, animation, text, and other types of creative elements. These stories are relatively short-lived. They only last for 24 hours on the platform. We may think of stories, or you may think of stories as sort of originating or being popularized on Instagram, but according to consumer research, users would rather access stories on Facebook than other platforms. So I think there's a real opportunity to create stories that appeal to consumers, but then there are also some advantages of stories from a marketer's perspective. And those include, first of all, that they show at the top of news feeds. So the top of the news feed is really prime real estate because it's what users see first whenever they log onto the platform. So that's certainly an advantage of stories. Secondarily, stories give you an opportunity to add a lot of depth and interactive features to your messaging. As I mentioned, you can add a variety of photos, videos, animation, and so forth to really make your story compelling. And the third reason that stories can be advantageous from a marketer's perspective is that they provide creative differentiation. So all those different creative elements that you have available to you can lead you to really create a distinctive piece of messaging. With an ordinary post, you're limited to photos and text and video, but by combining all of those elements, you can really do something unique. The fifth research-based best practice that I wanted to share is really the importance of referring to your analytics. So by accessing your analytics, you can really get an in-depth look into how your audience is using the platform and what they like to see on the platform. And then you can use that information to inform how you approach marketing on the platform in the future. I'll show you in the next series of slides how you can go in and access certain analytics data and then use those data to make decisions. And so to get started, you'll access those analytics data from the Insights tab on your Facebook page. And then you'll first go to Posts to take a look at the data that are available there. And on this post page, at the top, you'll see some information about when your fans tend to be online. So this is great information if you're looking to determine when to time your posts. And for this particular page, we can see by day, we have the greatest chance to reach the greatest number of users on Monday. So there's not a huge difference in terms of the number of fans that are online by day, but if I were to only choose one day a week to post, according to these data, Monday would be the best bet. Note, you should refer back to these analytics data on a somewhat regular basis because seasons can cause different Facebook use. And so you'll want to see how that seasonality plays a role in how people are using the platform and then make adjustments to your timing accordingly. So in addition to having some insights into the days of the week where people tend to be accessing the platform most, you can also learn about the time of day when people are accessing the platform. And here, according to these data, later in the day, early evening tends to be the time when most of our fans are online. So if I were making recommendations for this page about when to post, I would suggest somewhere between 5 and 7 p.m. in order to have the greatest chance to reach the greatest number of people. Also on the Insights tab, you can collect a variety of information about the types of posts that you've been posting and the extent to which people have been engaging with those posts. So here you can see that on a post-by-post basis, we can collect information about reach and engagement, and we can also assess how that varies according to the type of post. So two photo posts that have done really well in this selection of posts here were photo posts that had at least 1,000 people reached, and you can see that engagements tend to be pretty high for those two posts relative to all the others. So these are two photo posts. You can see that the two link posts in this particular selection of posts had much lower engagement, so that's sort of an interesting finding. The fact of the post being a linked post or a photo post isn't the only factor that will be driving the differences in reach and engagement. The quality of the image is a factor to take in mind. The timing of the post is another factor, and then just the overall message. But you can begin to sort of pick up on what types of posts tend to outperform others by looking at this post-by-post analytics data. The The next place that I would encourage you to collect some insights data would be on the People tab. So on the People tab, you can get a better understanding of who exactly your audience is on Facebook. So here I've selected to know more about this particular page's followers. And I can see here data on gender and get an age distribution of our followers. And you can see that 65% of our page followers for this particular page are women. And we also have more than half of the page's followers are young people who are younger than 35. So this isn't a surprising finding necessarily, because this is a page targeted to a university unit, and a lot of students are interested in the content as well as recent alumni. But for your business page, you may find that these insights are helpful to understand who exactly is interested in your business and following the business. You can also apply some of these findings to sort of offline marketing efforts. So by understanding who tends to be invested in your business online, those customers may also be good targets in your offline marketing efforts. Additionally, here on this People tab, we can collect information about the location of those who have followed our page. So we can see location information by country, city, and language. This is important also if you're wanting to use your analytics data to inform your offline marketing efforts. Certain cities that tend to appear high in the rankings could be those where you have some other marketing, maybe some newspaper ads, billboards, those other types of more offline communication that could be targeted in areas where consumers appear to be interested in your given products and services and business. So the last research-based best practice that I wanted to share with you is considering sponsorship of posts or running ads. So earlier I mentioned that the Facebook offers and the marketplace listings give you the option to offer some sort of paid support. So those are two options that you have available to you. You can also consider boosting posts or running ads. And if you run ads, there are a variety of ad formats from which you can choose, including images, videos, and carousels. If you're not familiar what a carousel is, it's basically a combination of multiple images, for example, instead of just having one single image as part of your ad. In terms of what format you should choose, I would really urge you to think about first, what's your objective? So every campaign should have an objective. For example, if you're launching a product, you may want to generate leads for that product. So lead generation would be your objective. Then you would want to choose the message that would help to generate leads, and also the type of ad format or sponsorship format that would help you to facilitate meeting that goal. When you are targeting, or when you are marketing on Facebook and you have a paid component, you have a good opportunity to really target your message to a specific segment that you think has the most interest in your products or services. So always segment the market. Don't cast your net too broadly. By segmenting the market and reaching those segments that you think are most interested in your products and services, that almost always pays off. So on Facebook, you have some choices about how you target. You can look to custom audiences or lookalike audiences. The resources that you see at the bottom of your screen are helpful to explain more about these different audience segmentation options. I'll mention one other point about segmentation on social. Social platforms collect a lot of information about their users. And so that makes sort of the beauty, I guess you could say, of using social as a paid marketing tactic, because you're able to tap into some of that data that's available and really target a narrow group based on some pretty unique factors. It's also important whenever you are wanting to sponsor posts or run ads on Facebook or any other social media platform to understand the terminology that's used in the reporting, and so you can understand how well your posts are performing. So I have 3 different acronyms here and one other term that I think they're broadly used and important to understand. So you may see CPC pop up. CPC refers to cost per click. It's a metric that you can use to assess the effectiveness of your ad or your any sort of Facebook promotion. So to compute the cost per click, CPC, you can divide the total campaign spending divided by the number of clicks to understand how much you're paying to get one click. CPM refers to the cost per 1,000 impressions. So to understand what that definition means, you really need to understand what impressions mean. Impressions is a chance to see an ad. So it's the number of times that an ad or some sort of paid promotion showed in a news feed or elsewhere on the platform. So cost per 1,000 impressions would be the total cost of your campaign divided by the total number of impressions times 1,000. And CPE is a relatively new metric. It's cost per engagement. So it's the total cost of your campaign divided by the number of engagements recorded for a particular ad or for a particular promotion. So again, engagements could be any type of reaction like a comment or a like. So it's just a little bit of a different way to present the performance of your campaign. When you start to see CPC, CPM, and CPE reported for the campaigns that you're running, looking at those numbers alone don't really provide you, or that doesn't really provide you with a good idea of how well your campaign's performing. To get a sense of how well your campaign's performing, I'd urge you to compare your own metrics for your own campaigns to the metrics that are available as benchmarks. And there are two firms that do a good job of producing some of those benchmarks that you can go to reference whenever you're trying to assess how your campaigns are performing. And those are WordStream and AdStage. And for illustrative purposes, I pulled an example of one of these benchmark reports from WordStream. And so you can see here that this is looking at the average click-through rate for Facebook ads. And you can see that the all industry average is a little less than 1%, rather, it's at a 0.9%. And then also this graphic breaks down how the average click-through rate varies according to industry. And so by comparing your campaign's average click-through rate to these benchmarks, you can assess whether you're outperforming or underperforming the average. If you're outperforming the average, great job. Your targeting is probably on point and you probably have a really effective message. If you're underperforming the benchmark, you may look for ways to adjust your approach in future campaigns to either target a different audience that may be more interested in your content or adjust the messaging that you're using in your ads or your Facebook promotions. So that wraps up these research-based best practices. Thanks so much for joining us.